Right, HMRC, the gloves are most definitely off right now. Why do you say this, Chris? So my experience over the last month or so is we're starting to see more winding up petitions being served from the HMRC to companies that have still not paid the VAT, still not paid the corporation tax, and still not paid their PAYE. Now, if you remember, for almost 2 years, people had forgot about winding up petitions. They were prohibited. Basically, you could only serve a winding up petition if you could prove that the non-payment wasn't because of COVID. And most creditors thought, well, that's going to be a bloody nightmare. We'll just stand aside till these restrictions are lifted. Now, the restrictions were lifted nearly a year ago. It was the 1st of October 2021, where people could start serving winding up petitions to businesses that had basically not paid the debts. Now, there was still a couple of restrictions in place. The debt had to be over £10,000, and you needed to give the company 21 days notice that you were going to serve a winding up petition. Now, what we've seen, I've took some notes down here. Back in April, a fifth of all petitions were issued by the Revenue. In May, nearly a third of petitions were issued by the Revenue. In June, 45% of petitions were registered by the Revenue. And as we get the figures for July and August, I'll let you know. But let me tell you that they're increasing. It's not a day goes by now where we're not getting inquiry from somebody saying, listen, I've had the threat of a winding up petition land on my desk. Now, as you'll know from my previous videos, if you've got the threat of a winding up petition, it's time to take notice. Because if that lands on your desk, eventually your bank account's going to be frozen and you're going to find yourself in a corner that's really hard to get out. The earlier you take advice, the better, especially with HMRC arrears. There's ways that you can restructure your debts yourself, time to pay arrangements. If you've broken time to pay arrangements and the Revenue don't want to know any further, you might want to consider something more formal like a company voluntary arrangement. A CVA is where you put all your unsecured debts in one pot and you agree to pay those creditors over a longer period of time, typically 5 years. Okay, you'll make one payment every month and that payment will get divvied up to the creditors that you owe money to. Listen, it's not a golden bullet for everybody because your creditors have got to agree to the CVA, but it's an option you perhaps want to consider. Listen, if all else failed, maybe the right option for you is to get this company into voluntary liquidation. Now, at the moment, you've got an element of control. The minute you get wound up by the courts, it's a compulsory liquidation. You have no control over which liquidator you use. So if a winding up is being threatened or you think there might be one in the post, you're one of those directors who's just buried their head in the sand for the past couple of years around HMRC arrears, reach out today. Thank you for your time. I hope you liked the video. All the best, Chris Wordham.